So I'm here with the new Waterford hurling captain, Pauric Mahony, here at the WT Arena. I suppose, first of all, Pauric, what was your reaction when you got the call to become captain for 2020?
Yeah, obviously it was a very proud moment. I'd spoken to Liam maybe a couple of weeks before it was announced, and we just kind of, we talked it out and went over a few things, and yeah, I was delighted to accept it. And I suppose from my club and from my family, it's a huge honour as well.
Who was the first person you told?
I think I kept it quiet for the first couple of weeks, and then I think the morning I was going training, and Liam had told me he was announcing it today, so I think I told my girlfriend to hear that, and then that was it. Then really, it was just announced to the public, and everyone else found out that way.
Yeah, your family were left waiting, were they?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, trying. I suppose because there's so many of us involved in the hurling at home, we don't really talk too much about hurling because it could only end up in a row. So we leave the talking for when we go train.
Very good, very good. How much are you going to miss Philip being around the camp this season, Pauric? Something different?
Yeah, it is. It's my first year playing that he hasn't been around, so it is going to be different. But I suppose that's just life, and it's the way hurling goes. You can't stay around forever, and I'm sure it'll be tough for him coming into the championship, watching games and not being out there. But I suppose that's you weigh up the pros and cons when you're making a decision like this. You don't just rush into it, and I'm sure he's done that. So yeah.
Did you try and persuade him to stick around or anything like that?
Look, I think when someone has their mind made up on something like that, you have to respect their decision, and that was certainly the case with him. He would have told me only a short time before he was talking to Liam, and I think he's been thinking about it obviously for a few weeks before. So if it was a rash call, then I'd be saying, look, would you not give another couple of weeks or whatever? But he went through everything with me, and he said, look, I think there's other things in his life that he wants to pursue now, and he's in the middle of building a house as well at the moment, so he's probably a lot of stress on his plate with that. So look, as I said, we just move on now.
Yeah, I think he was kind of saying last week that maybe he wasn't enjoying it as much as he used to, Pauric. Like it's been kind of a hot topic of late. I suppose the number of dropouts in terms of in inter-county fair, in terms of yourself and your own motivation. Like you're here on a Sunday morning in WIT, -3, -4 outside, frost on the pitch. What keeps you going back to inter-county training year in, year out?
Yeah, look, I suppose on the overall topic, the demands on an inter-county player have changed a lot in the last couple of years, no doubt about it. And it's no longer you just go training on a Tuesday and a Friday and maybe play a match in the weekend. Every day there's something, whether it's gym, a day off is now called a recovery day. So it's taken as seriously as a professional sport. And then obviously we all have our day-to-day lives as well, where we have, whether it's jobs or whether it's college, and which takes up a lot of your time too. So that's probably the main reason why it's become you're seeing the dropout levels reduced from maybe 10 years ago. If you retired at maybe 32, 33, you might have been considered young, but nowadays I think you're going to see more people going in their mid to late 20s, and that's just the reality of it. And people are probably maybe finding it hard, the public are probably finding it hard to maybe understand that. But certainly anyone involved in inter-county setups and sees the work that goes in, can fully see why a person might decide to step away at that level. But for myself, look, I suppose we're chasing the ultimate goal really, and it's hard to kind of leave go of that. Obviously now this year there's a freshness to the setup here, so which makes it a lot easier to kind of to put in the hard work, and as you said, days like this morning now, you don't mind coming train when there's a serious setup there, and there's a highly driven and motivated group of players.
You obviously feel that there's still a window of opportunity for this Waterford team to win another big trophy, Pauric.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here if I didn't, to be honest with you, Thomas. As I said, the work that has to go in to get yourself in the right place and right frame of mind for big days. If you didn't think that you could do it, and you didn't think you could put a trophy on the table, I wouldn't do it. And that's being straight up to you because of the whole, I suppose, as I said, what it takes now to get yourself into that position. It's extreme. But yeah, look, there's a serious group of lads there that are training very hard, and over the last couple of months, there's huge work going in. So now, really, we're just looking forward to putting that into practice next Sunday.
You're 10 seasons on the go now with Waterford, Pauric. It's probably hard to believe. I think you're up to 80 appearances, league and championship at the moment. Can you recall when you first got the call up to the Waterford senior squad?
Yeah, it was actually I was down in Cork in college, and I remember exactly where it was, and we were playing the Waterford Crystal League at the time, and Pauric Mahony actually rang me. He was selected with Déise in 2011 and just asked me would I come train. I think this was he rang me on a Monday night, would I come train on Tuesday, and that we were playing in Cork in the Waterford Crystal on the Sunday in Welsh Park, and we were short a load of college lads. So would I come basically to make up the numbers, it seemed, and went, and actually Morris got sent off the same day, and it kind of opened up a window for me. Then the following week we played Clare up in 6 Mile Bridge, and I started that game, and just I suppose it's kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah, what was it like walking into that Waterford dressing room for the first time? Because a lot of iconic players would have been still around at that time. Yeah,
like you had the likes of Ken and Tony, and obviously Brick and Stevie Mumphy. There was a lot of lads there that Seamus Pender that I would have probably looking up to when I suppose if you looked at the teams from the 2002 right onwards, 2007 and 2010, and then they were only have to come off the back of winning the Munster title. So I suppose I would have followed the team closely with Shane being involved in all them years, and Philip was on the panel the year before. So I suppose it would have been a huge ambition of mine to try and get into that panel. And then when you do get in there, then you're kind of in awe when you first walk in the door. But I think it's like if you walk into the panel nowadays, everyone is pretty grounded and level-headed, and they make it as comfortable and as easy as possible just to kind of slot in. And I suppose we'd see that now from how we were treated when we were back, say when myself and the likes of Dara Fives were coming into the dressing room as 18-year-olds, and how we were made at ease so quickly by the older lads. And I suppose you're kind of learning the process nearly when it comes to, like, now, say for example, there's a lot of new lads into our panel, and you're kind of just trying to involve them and make it as easy as possible for them to make the transition from maybe underage levels or club levels straight into the senior setup.
Did you expect that it would happen so quickly for you at the age of 18 and you were thrown straight in at the deep end?
No, not really. And look, there was probably an element of luck that year too. There was different things happened. I know we played Limerick in the first round of the championship that year, and Richie Foley was hitting the freeze, and he rolled his ankle in the morning of the game up in Abbeyside practicing freeze, and then we're in Clonmel Park, and Davey came over to me and just said, look, we're hitting the freeze today. And in fairness, I remember how he kind of put it. He said, look, if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. And it was kind of, it put me on ease straight away. And it was probably simple messages that you pick up over the years, but that was one message that I always kept with me about how he dealt with kind of telling me in my debut that I was going to be hitting the freeze. It was kind of a key really, because if it would have probably put a lot of pressure on me if he just said, look, you're hitting the freeze, kind of, so I suppose that's man management.
And absolutely. And even before that, I think you'd hit the winner against Galway in Welsh Park. That must have given you a great confidence boost as well, Pauric, in your first league campaign.
Yeah, because I remember, I think we played Dublin in the first round of the league that year, and I was pretty happy with how things went. And then we played Wexford, I think it was, down in Wexford Park, and that went fairly well. And then I had a couple of bad games where I wasn't happy with my performance at all. And you do straight away, then you're kind of questioning things. Am I up to it, or is it too early, or And then came back in then for the last round of the league against Galway, and again went okay that day. And you kind of realise that every game is not going to be smooth, I suppose, and you're going to have the good with the bad. And I think that year was obviously a huge learning curve for myself.
Is the league title that you won in 2015 with Waterford, beat Cork in Semple Stadium, does that rank as one of your biggest achievements, Pauric?
Yeah, definitely. I suppose after the first year with Derek went so bad that we really knuckled down that winter, and obviously look, I think that's the only piece of silverware I'm after winning that with Waterford, and I suppose it's even nearly embarrassed to say that after 10 years that's what you have to show for it. But that was certainly a magic moment. I suppose we put a lot into that league campaign that year, and because we felt like we had to kind of we lost probably the respect of the public even here in Waterford for our performances the year before, and we had to do something about it. And we set out with probably a goal at the start of that league campaign, and we went and achieved it. So it was definitely a special moment.
Is the league still as important for Waterford now, Pauric, or is it all about the championship?
Well, I suppose the league needs to, you need to get a lot out of the league in preparation for the championship. You can't just, turn your back on it. We'll be obviously going hell for leather next week against Cork. Doing everything to try and get the win, but it's not to be all and end all either, I suppose. But at the same time, you need to be kind of, probably looking for little areas of improvement each game as you go on throughout the league, and ultimately trying to have yourself in the best condition and best preparation for the championship.
I think this is the 5th Waterford manager you're after working under. What are Liam Cahill's main qualities from what you've seen so far?
Yeah, look, all around, I suppose Liam's after bringing a brilliant setup with him, and I think that's key. So much goes on now on inter-county days of matches and days even to prepare a training session. It's the work that goes in behind the scenes to get everything right for a training session is incredible. So Liam has certainly done that. He's brought an experienced background team with him, and I think that's the sign of a good manager straight away. And I suppose, look, he's a very good man manager too. He's constantly communicating with players, and you kind of where you need to improve and areas you need to work on, and and I think that's I suppose where this year maybe a lot of players, just from even talking to players, are very much focused on targets, and they know where we need to improve on, and ultimately I suppose that's been filtered down through from the management.
Yeah, from any kind of dealings I've had with him so far, Pauric seems very straight and direct and upfront. Is he like that with the players as well?
Definitely, and that's the kind of environment you need in an inter-county setup where you know where you stand, you know where you need to improve, because I suppose for a long, I know myself from being involved in many different setups at colleges level, club level, county level, that it's to reflecting at the end of the year on what you need to improve on. It's just too late. So you need to be setting out areas where you can develop your game, or maybe things that you're weak at, and how are you going to get better at them. And now's the time to be working on these ahead, as you say, coming into the league, and obviously then coming into the championship.
Where do you need to improve on from last year, Pauric? Because it was a major letdown in the summer. Yet again, another early Munster Championship exit.
It's hard to kind of put your finger on it and say, look, that's exactly what we done wrong last year, because we done a lot right as well. We had a great league campaign. Obviously disappointed with the performance in the league final, but for a lot of stages of that game, we were well in it against Limerick, and maybe if we had gotten the break that they got, in terms of a goal, we could have kicked on and winning that game. And then obviously the first round against Clare, we were extremely flat on the day. Not too sure why, but we just did not perform, and there was a point in it at the end of the game. If that was a point the other way, who knows what would have happened for the rest of the year. One more win probably would have seen us into a quarter final of an All-Ireland, and you see how it can just take off. Your summer can take off from there, and that's probably the biggest challenge every team in Munster faces, is actually getting out of the group stage.
Absolutely. Has Liam dropped any hints about whether yourself or Stephen Bennett or Patrick Curran will be hitting the freeze now on Sunday?
No, actually we haven't had any discussions like that, as it's always been the case, where you kind of be working on them yourself, whether it's outside the field or inside the field at training or in training games or challenge matches. So look, whoever has that job, just has to do it to their best of their ability, and but I'm sure that's a topic it'll be discussed, no doubt, in the next week or so.
Yeah. How much practice would you put into the freeze on a typical week, Pauric?
Actually, look, this time of the year it's a little bit different. But look, you'd be trying once the evenings get brighter. Now it's at the moment you're going to work in it's dark and you're coming home in it's dark. So your midweek is kind of, you know, you don't really have the the ability to just go up to the pitch, and whether it's in Ballygunner or coming out here to Carriganore. So it really is down to the training field where, you know, so maybe once or twice a week at the moment is as good as you're going to get. But once it comes into the summer, into the bright evenings, you'll certainly be at it 3 or 4 nights a week anyway.
Can you talk to us a little about your free taking routine once you stand over a ball, Pauric?
Actually, look, it's kind of, I suppose, many years ago, Nick Cashin would have working a lot kind of with the free takers, and when he was in with Waterford, and he kind of brought more of a visualization aspect to it, and which is what I try and do now, and just have a set routine. So my routine stays the same, and I just probably do a bit more visualization with, you know, when we win a free, and try and just think of the outcome more so than the process then at that stage, just so you're, you know, mentally in a good place going up to hit every free, and just try and, you know, follow the same steps as, you know, as always.
Would you take anything from any other dead ball strikers in hurling or in any other sports?
No, because my technique is probably different to every other player in the country, so you can't really learn a whole lot from anyone else.
Well, when did you first start taking frees for Ballygunner? Can you remember, Pauric?
I'm not actually too sure, because when obviously the year I started hitting frees with the Waterford senior team, before I was hitting them at Ballygunner, so underage level, I suppose I would have started hitting them from maybe under 14 up, but again it wouldn't have been like I could just throw the ball down and stand up and strike it. There was definitely no technique or structure to it. It was just throw the ball down and see where it goes, kind of. But then I suppose coming towards when I was maybe 16 and started hitting some frees with the club minor team that year, and I would have probably started to put more emphasis on practice and routine, and so from, I suppose, 16 on, yeah. And
just finally, Pauric, you'll be hoping for a good start on home turf on Sunday, and I suppose maybe creating a bit more of a fortress in Welsh Park this year.
Yeah, and definitely, I think the early league games, especially, you know, having Cork at home, you'll be trying to kind of, I suppose, copy the same routine that you'll be having for maybe the first round of the Munster Championship against Tip, and, like, you know, I suppose we need to start putting some performances, especially at home, and results, and as you say, get comfortable and get confident with playing in our home turf. And, you know, I'm sure if we can hit the ground running next week against Cork, the Waterford supporters, you know, will start come back out and really get behind the team, and you know, hopefully we can have a good league campaign and drive it into the summer.
Pauric, many thanks for your time today, and best of luck now for 2020.
Cheers, Thomas. Thanks.